Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Jose, the California Beekeeper. Hey, today we're going to be talking a little about almond pollination. You know, you have those questions. Am I ready? Are my bees ready? So here we're going to talk a little bit about what to look for around the December time in order to figure out if your bees are going to make it into pollination. Hey, hope you enjoy this video. Hey, if you're new to this channel, boom, go ahead. Boom. I don't know what that was. Go down below, smash that subscribe button, and give us a big thumbs up on this video, right, guys? Let's do it. Stop. Cut. All right, guys, let's get into it, okay? Almond pollination, and are my bees ready for almonds? So, you know, when it comes to almonds and pollination, you have so many growers out here in California. The almond pollination is the world's largest managed pollination in the world. There's so many things that you need to look into. You need to look into what your contract is going to look like. We're out here in Northern California. Typically, these Northern California guys and most commercial outfits, what they like to do is they like to set up their contracts where they get 50% up front once the bees are placed into the orchards, as far as where the grower wants them. Sometimes the grower will tell you, hey, you know, can you place them, scatter them however you feel. Most of the time they have consultants as well that will map it out and have specific drops, numbered drops, and as far as scattered throughout the whole orchard. Some growers like them in the perimeter. Some orchard growers like them in the perimeter and inside the orchard. So one thing that you need to know is if you can persuade your almond grower or your broker to keep your bees in the perimeter, you know they're going to get a lot of flight time. If you're a beekeeper, you know flight time matters, and if there's flight time, there's going to be pollination. And so that's very important for us to at least try to get those contracts where it's going to benefit the bee and also the grower. So one thing that happens around October to February, it's the trying to figure out your contract, trying to play this whole game. It's just like a poker game. You know, you got the almond grower and you got the beekeeper. So you have to negotiate. And, you know, as beekeepers, if you're new to almond pollination or pollination service just in general, negotiating, it can be tricky. You know, you just have to feel it out. What I would advise you to do is just kind of talk to people, right? Talk to your buddies, talk to some commercial outfits, and get the feel for it. Get the feel for what it's like, even if you haven't ventured off to doing pollination. Get yourself with somebody that's already in it. Ask to tag along. As well as the whole process. Likely they're not going to take you on their wheeling dealing of the contract and for the pollination service, but I'm sure they'll help you as far as filling you in. Some guys can be a little they don't like to share that kind of stuff, but hey, you know, there's plenty of it. There's plenty of it. There's not enough bees to pollinate these crops, so when that's going to end, who knows? Right now it's booming. Let's dig into a hive, get an idea of what you're looking for, okay? So right here I have a 3 high, okay? And there's no particular reason why they're 3 high. I brought them down from our mountain yards, Lassen Park, and that's how they were, 3 high. I just didn't have time to get into them, to reduce and make other hives more explosive. For the most part, all our bees up there look fantastic, so it remained 3 high. It's full of bees all the way down to the bottom. Moving 3 high hives are a pain in the butt, but they work great because they're booming, and you're gonna get a great average when you have these explosives. But what I like to do is when I get closer to almond pollination is I like to break these down into 2 stories. And the reason why I like to do that is because it looks like there's just more bees condensed into those 2 boxes rather than having them 3 where they're scattered out. But now if there is brood, we'll take care of it. We'll put the brood down below, remove some honey frames. There's so many things that you can do. But for the most part, I believe the top supers are all honey. So we'll smoke them down and remove that top box if we have time. So let's open them up and we'll kind of talk a little about uh, what some of these growers look for as far as their beekeepers. It's pretty important to suit up, use a smoker. It's cold. These bees are clustered up tight. Usually when they have a lot of population as far as bees, they generate a lot of heat. So they're not going to be clustered like some 2 stories. These ones will be ready to get you. So make sure you suit up. They seal it up tight when it's cold. There's that propolis. If you ever get a chance, stick one of these things in your mouth. It's good for you. So, but it is hot, spicy. Okay, this top box looks to me like it's a lot of honey source. So let's dig down below, see what we got going on. When we get closer to moving them in, what I will do is I will push them down, and you don't need to, but we get paid for a frame average. The grower is going to usually hire an inspector to come check your hives, and it's a grader. We call them a grader, and they'll come. Usually they'll give you a notice. That way you can at least go and fix anything that you have that needs to be fixed. So they're going to let you know, hey, we're going to go with an inspector to go do grading of bees. And they usually do a grading of bees. 50% they'll go do just a little rough grade, and they'll grade maybe about 10%. And that is a rough grade. What they go inspect is how many frames of bees do you have. Some guys will check brood. That way they know how much is going to hatch out. And is there enough bees in your colony in order to meet your contract terms? It's very important to meet those terms, because once you sign that contract, you could be liable as far as the crop, what it yields. It just gets ugly. Never had to experience that, but I've heard stories. So we're not trying to be one of those stories, and it's very important for us to put good quality bees if we have those contracts that we need to meet frame count minimums. Usually the standard is an 8 frame average here in California, but there is some guys that will take 6 frame average. It all depends on what they're looking for, what their budget is. Pollination services run from, I've heard guys from the very cheapest go from 150, 160 for colonies that usually we charge around, well, 200. 200 I feel is a standard right now. Even with this pandemic and the industry, the prices of almonds went down. Pollination still needs to happen. And when pollination happens good and successful, if weather conditions are great, got good strong bees, you're going to get good yields. And that's what the grower wants. And that's what we want to give them. So make sure, whatever contracts that you have, make sure that you understand everything. What are you getting into? What do you want? What do your bees look like? That's the first thing you need to know is, my bees look like this, so I'm able to do this. That's what you have to just assess all your bees. And ideally, if you can get all your bees in one contract, where it's either a lower grade, that usually works out great. Like if you have a 6 frame average contract, or even an 8 frame average, some of these singles here. Let me show you. Some of these singles here will be doubled up. Like these two just might get doubled up as far as combined in order to meet that contract term. Some singles, let's see, well, like this, something like that. You know, you could find contracts that some guys are just willing to pay the least, which would be, you know, for us would be like 150 for a single. It's great, but you know, it's just very important to know what you're getting yourself into, understanding your contract, and making sure that you meet your frame average. Is that if you want to have your bees go into almond pollination, it's very important that you make sure that they have what they need. In the fall, it starts to get thirsty. In California, we have that first dry spell as far as there's no nectar coming in, especially with the wildfires. This year it was ugly. We had to supplement a lot, feed. So that's one thing that we need to do in the fall in order to ensure that our bees make it into pollination. So supplementing pollen, giving them sugar water, syrup, whatever feed it is that you use, just make sure you give it to them. The bees are going to show you exactly what they need. Inspect your hives and you'll assess these things, and you'll, like I said, the bees will tell you what they need. Okay, almond pollination, how important is it in order to just really survive? Almond pollination is huge for a beekeeper. That's why there's a lot of guys from all over the United States that come to do this pollination here in California. If you're not on your bees, the weaker colonies will get robbed out. That's one thing that you need to keep your eye out. If you're down in the valley, especially in Central California, you get all these guys coming from out of state, and they're dropping semi-loads, you know, one after the other. Ooh. See that? Wow. So when you're out feeding, you have smaller yards, and you have 2 semi-loads just up the road, be careful when you feed. I would recommend just feeding in the evening, close to the evening. Just drop your can on top and call it good. As far as those weaker colonies, I mean, good luck. Really good luck. It's just, they're going to likely get robbed out. They're not going to make it. So what I would do, I would just take those weaker colonies. If you can head to the hills, head to the hills. Or just go where it's not down in the valley with all the other guys waiting to get into almonds. We don't go into almonds around until sometimes we'll place bees in late January, but usually the deadline is around the first week of February. First week of February is when the almond grower wants their bees into their orchards. So one thing that you need to know about placing your bees in almonds is once you're in, I always like to build relationships with my grower or my broker or management company that's running that farm. And I like to build that relationship because there's a lot of theft that happens out here in California. And with all this theft, I mean, it just happens so much now. I mean, luckily we're up here in Northern California. Doesn't seem like there's that much of that nonsense going as much as down in the Central Valley or down south, as far as truckloads of bees just getting, load them up, forklift. I mean, we're talking straight commercial guys loading up bees and making it theirs. So I like to build relationships with my grower, broker, or manager. What that does, it protects your bees. It's that extra eye when you're not around to be able to give you a call. A good way to assess and grade your bees without cracking them open is I like to tilt. I like to tilt my hive, look underneath it, seeing how many frames of bees I can see. Then I'll go up to the top. I'll pop my lid. I usually don't like popping the lids because if it gets windy, that lid blows off, but we're just going to show you what you can do. That's fine. some weaker ones and some decent ones. So I will tilt my hive. Well, this one didn't tilt, but looks good. Looks fat. Let's tilt this. Look down below. Has a small cluster. See that? Place it down. Take the top. Whoa. So, working commercially, we had to do things a lot more efficient. That was one of the things that I learned, of many. Tilt, look underneath, crack your lid. That gives you an idea how big your ball, your cluster is of your hive. Really, when it's really cold, they're hunkered on tight. So you can kind of get an idea that cluster that they build. You know, I keep talking about the tilting method, but haven't found a good one that I could actually really explain. So here's one that I found. So I like to tilt it from the bottom. That gives me an opportunity to assess how many frames are going all the way across. Gives me an idea how big that cluster is of bees. So place it down. I'll crack my top box, my top lid. And there you go. You get an idea how to do it without having to, well, crack a hive. And then when you get those weaker ones where you only see one frame or no frames at the bottom, cracking it, it's not going to hurt it. Just make sure you blow a lot of smoke. That way you don't squish bees or kill the queen accidentally. You know, almond pollination is fun if you can get in. You know, as far as the bees go, or we register our bees with the Beware program out here in California. And that's another thing that I would advise you to do if you are coming from out of state, or if you're a new beekeeper from California and are interested in pollination of almonds, of almonds. So there's a Beware program, and it goes by counties, but it's a statewide program, and that notifies you, keeps farmer, beekeeper together in order to be informed on when they're going to spray. And then the grower actually has the ability to see, well, there's bees over here based on my map. And for us, we get that phone call, say, hey, we're going to do some spraying in 48 hours in order to move your bees. So very important. You're out here in California and doing almond pollination, just the Beware program is a good thing to do. Keeps you safe from being sprayed on. So make sure you look into that. Or actually, we'll drop that link down below in the description box for those that aren't familiar with the Beware app. It's an app now. Keeps our bees safe from pesticide or fungicide spraying, any type of spraying. So make sure you check it out. Video was hopefully helpful as far as getting an idea what almond pollination is about. It's about contracts, it's about grades, it's about spraying, and just being informed about everything. If you're going to do almond pollination, it's very important that you meet your terms and put in the bees that you are contracted to put. So that's big, and hope you enjoyed this video. Hey, if you're new to this channel, make sure you go down below, smash that subscribe button, give us a big thumbs up on this video. Make sure you go like it, share, that helps us out a lot. Alright guys, hey, make sure you keep that smoker lit. Alright, check you guys out.